Hello and welcome to Camp Xtras. Ridge Racer is a racing series that is monumental in gaming history. The first 4 entries are huge racing games not only for arcades but also for PlayStation. With the 5th entry being a launch title for the PS2, it was time for Ridge Racer to create a launch title for Sony's PSP system, simply titled Ridge Racer. I played through it recently, and let me tell you how I felt about it, along with some history and lasting impact. All footage was captured from a PSP, and let's go ahead and hop into this game's history. The history of the franchise Ridge Racer is a huge one that would take all day to get into, but I do want to focus on the announcement and release of the PSP version and maybe just do a short recap up to that point. Ridge Racer debuted in arcades in 1993. It was praised for its 3D graphics and gameplay, and the PlayStation version continued that praise. Over the years, Ridge Racer was a prolific game with many releases, with Ridge Racer Type 4 being an impressive and memorable release. The franchise took a break with the 5th release in 2000, even though there was a spin-off in 2003. With the announcement of the PSP, and at the E3 2004 show, there was an announcement for a new Ridge Racer simply titled New Ridge Racer. During its development, it was described as an amalgamation of Ridge Racer games, taking some of the best courses to offer a world tour of Ridge Racers. Ridge Racers is actually the Japanese title, but everywhere else it would get the reboot-styled name of Ridge Racer. It was announced later in 2004 that it would be a launch title for Japan and later for the US as well. Ridge Racers came out in Japan on December 12, 2004, and many American outlets imported it. Writers from GameSpot were impressed by how well this game ran on a portable system. Ridge Racer would be released with the PSP on March 24, 2005, and also in PAL regions on September 1, 2005. It shames me to say, but I've never played this game before. As a fan of racing games and the PSP, I find the fact that this has been a blind spot for me a bit sad. However, it gives me a good excuse to dig into this one. I was excited to hop in, and let me tell you how I felt about it, starting with the gameplay. Ridge Racer is a racing game through and through with a focus on drifting. The way the game is set up is through the World Tour mode. There are single races and time trials as usual in a game like this, but the World Tour is how you unlock tracks and cars. You start limited with a few tracks, and your goal is to pick a car and win some races. When you win, you unlock more tours, and it allows you to unlock more. This is your gameplay loop. It's nice and straightforward, and has a good incentive. I love unlockables in games, and this one has a ton. I loved running through and constantly getting new things, especially the cars, which all have a different feel with their controls, down to the look of the speedometer. Driving is a blast in Ridge Racer. It's simple and easy to understand. Accelerating and braking all feel intuitive. It's as easy as the hit of a button, but the hook of Ridge Racer is the drifting. Around turns, you let go of the gas and turn with the curve, and your car will simply drift. Drifting will build up your boost so you can lurch further in the race. Drifting is so simple to understand, which makes this game easy to get right into from the start. The arcade simplicity makes this one addicting and easy to hop back into if you need to put it down for a few moments. Don't let the simplicity of the controls make you think it's easy though, because it's far from it. You always start from the back of the race, which is quite a trek to the front. It's not a racing game where you can run straight to the front and hold it. It's a journey. But the challenge to the front is fun and tense. The AI is never unfair and competent enough to keep it a challenge throughout. It's a slow rise of difficulty from the start, and you learn the game and you get a feel for it. It's never daunting. The controls on the PSP are excellent. Racing games work well on the PSP because the nub analog stick feels good to use with the turning of cars. It utilizes the console very well. The course design works with the drifting, though they sometimes repeat. It feels like a greatest hits game. Turns are enormous and allows for long drifts. There are excellent sight lines and locales, and the way the tracks weave make drift passing possible almost all the time, which is the most satisfying way to pass other drivers. It's the type of course design that ensures the game's arcade feel doesn't go to waste because you're constantly drifting along with it. Ridge Racer offers all that gameplay with multiplayer. You'll have a blast if you get a group with multiple PSPs, each with their own copies of this game. And that's the word that best describes this game, a blast. Sony's new handheld started off with such a bang for racing fans when you consider this and Wipeout. In terms of handheld gaming in 2004, this game looks excellent. It might be a little harder to understand now because everybody holds a device in their pocket that does graphics better than this, but in 2004, to have a racing game that looked like an early PS2 game was awesome. The track designs are truly what is most striking in this game. The vistas are large and futuristic. It's not as futuristic as another launch title, Wipeout, but it has a nice, modern, sleek look. The silvers shine, but also when you get to the beach levels, the sun setting on the island is beautiful. The lighting plays well with the look, and it makes sure the game shines. The cars also look nice, not basing themselves on actual vehicles, allowing them to retain a futuristic vision even 20 years later. They are sleek and offer something clean on the PSP. A nice touch is the speedometers that changed for different car models. It's small, but it makes every car feel unique, and less like a palette swap. In 2004, I feel like this is a game that you would show everyone to show how well the PSP could handle good graphics. The audio is also a great showcase, showing off sound quality well. Popping your headphones into the PSP will give you an excellent experience. The techno music here is thumping and gorgeous. The game has a bunch of different composers, and you can feel that. You'll get a mix of down-tempo and club songs that sonically match the sleek future the game captures, but make sure every track has a unique flair. Some of these songs have been stuck in my mind after playing this game. They're catchy and intense, and it perfectly matches the driving. It's also Ridge Racer, so it has to have an announcer shouting out if someone is catching up or if you're getting passed by someone. At first it was annoying, but later on I realized he could be really satisfying. Something about making an excellent drift pass and him celebrating makes it just that much more enjoyable. The announcer grew on me. Match that with great acceleration noises and tire screeching, and sonically it all works. I especially love the screeches on drifts. It's loud and grinding, but hearing that noise for longer and longer as you make a great drift makes it all come together. All in all, Ridge Racer is a great handheld racing game. I hardly have any complaints. The track design and look are both fantastic, the soundtrack is incredible, and the gameplay is spot on. Most importantly, it feels good to play on the PSP. I feel like for a handheld system, you really have to think about how it feels in the hand. And for me, I feel like this is the archetype a racing game should strive for on the console, and it happened on launch day. On my ranking list, out of the 4 PSP games I've covered so far, Ridge Racer goes in at number 3. I consider these top 3 games to be highly rated. Ridge Racer is far more replayable than Spider-Man 2, but Wipeout has more of a sci-fi style and gloss that I prefer, but honestly they're both really close here. Ridge Racer came out to generally favorable reviews with an 88 on Metacritic. However, I would say that a ratio of 57 good reviews and 1 neutral with no negative reviews is near universal praise. IGN would give it a 9.1, saying the drift mechanic made this game extremely fun. GameSpot would give it an 8.3, saying it was both smooth and entertaining, but that it wasn't as impressive as the graphics. The official US PlayStation Magazine would give it a 9 and say it was undeniably addictive. Looking at the consensus today through the user aggregate website Backlogged, this game has a high score of 3.8 out of 5. Many praise this game for being addicting and fun, but many seem to think that its PSP sequel is better, which, if it is that good, I'll definitely have to play that game soon. As for how well it did, it was a success, making almost 1 million sales according to VG charts. meaning it would place right outside the top 25 best-selling PSP games. The game must have done well enough to allow for a sequel, as well as Ridge Racer releasing a ton of games in this time frame. A year later, we would see a DS release, a 360 exclusive, and then the year after that, a PS3 game. It was the start of a franchise boom, and I'm excited to see where this one goes from here. But that does wrap it up for today. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you're interested in more content like this. My main channel is Camp Xbox, where I talk about all things retro Xbox. Check that out. Comment below with any PSP games you want me to cover next, as it really helps me out in the algorithm. And I'll see you here next time at Camp Xtras.